maybe a little bit more, taken by children around the country, sponsored by all the agencies that make up the United Nations team here. And it means that although we're sitting here in the privileged neighborhood of Colombo 7, we actually have bits of Sri Lanka all around us, which is where we work. I thought I would start by just reading to you the Secretary General's message to United Nations staff on the occasion of UN Day. You'll be hearing a video from him this evening, but the video is actually a slightly different message, which is more aimed for the general public. So on this United Nations Day, and every day throughout the year, the United Nations is at work for the planet, for jobs, for we the peoples. We deliver more humanitarian aid than anyone, and to the toughest places. We vaccinate 40% of the world's children. We feed more than 100 million people and are helping more than 30 million refugees, most of them women and children fleeing war and persecution. We are deploying more peacekeepers than ever, more than 115,000. In the last year alone, we provided electoral assistance to almost 50 countries. And the entire UN system has mobilized to face global economic turmoil and the social unrest that it threatens. People look to the United Nations to defeat poverty and hunger, to keep the peace, to expand education, and to stand up for the human rights of every person around the globe. They look to us to stop the spread of deadly weapons and disease, and to protect people and families hit by disasters. In December, they will look to us to seal a comprehensive, equitable, and ambitious deal on climate change that will protect us all and pave the way towards a greener, more sustainable economy. This is a unique moment in world affairs. Multiple crises, food, fuel, financial, flu, are hitting at once. Climate change looms larger every day. Each illustrates a 21st century truth. We share one planet, one home. As people, as nations, as species, we sink or swim together. The United Nations is doing its utmost to respond, to address the big issues, to look at the big picture. We are forging a new multilateralism that can deliver real results for all people, especially those most in need. But I'm also painfully aware of the distance to go and the gap between commitment and action. On this UN Day, let us resolve to redouble our efforts on behalf of the vulnerable, the powerless, and the defenseless. Let us stand more united than ever, united in purpose and united in action to make the world a safer and better place. That's the conclusion of the Secretary General's message on UN Day. Now, it's good to see us all united, as the Secretary General says. The last year illustrated very well the challenges we face working in Sri Lanka, but also what we can accomplish together. Challenges as we struggle to help people in often very dangerous conditions. Challenges as we had to deal with unfair criticism from various quarters. Challenges as colleagues and their families were trapped in a combat area, some injured and then having had to flee their lives. Challenges as we tried to help also colleagues who've had to stay in IDP centers when we would have liked them to be at home with their families. Challenges also for us working in Colombo as we worked amidst terrorist attacks that killed relatives and affected many of our partners and friends. And of course, the many professional challenges that we also faced of increasing programs and trying to do our work a bit under a microscope, and supporting many high-level UN visitors, including the Secretary General. But as the Secretary General said in his remarks, we did deliver results to people. Most clearly, the human toll at the end of the war would have been higher if not for our efforts. Our colleagues who ran the convoys to the north from October through the end of January, and those colleagues who were there with their families and helped distribute food and relief supplies were truly heroic and helped hundreds of thousands of people get sustenance in the middle of a terrible experience. The fact that when 300,000 people, nearly 300,000 people, fled the area, that they were fed, sheltered, and given the chance to recover was in good part a result of our work with many partners and in support of the government's responsibility to help them. It's also a credit to all the staff involved with staff security that all staff and dependents came out of that area alive, sadly though too with injuries. But we also must support staff wherever in Sri Lanka, whether that's in Colombo, in Kandy, in Batticaloa, in Vuvunia, in Jaffna, in other places, who also lost relatives, lost friends over the last year, because in all the country people lost people. But what is important is that we did our work last year, or since the last UN Day, in a way that I think leaves the United Nations team here in a good position to help Sri Lankans take advantage of the great opportunity there is now to build a sustainable peace that will permit all people to live a better life with more choices for the future. So, as the Secretary General said, let us redouble our efforts, but let us redouble our efforts to help Sri Lankans make their country and the world a safer and better place. Thank you.